We've all attended lame training sessions. We were promised we were going to learn how to do something, but did not learn it in the end. Well, fear not. If you're a trainer, manager, teacher, a coach of any kind, I'm going to show you a magic formula, a 4-part framework that's likely driven every excellent synchronous training session you've ever been a part of, whether it's on Zoom or in person. The best training sessions, let's say the top 10%, all follow this tried and true 4-step formula. I did not invent this, but I've been using these 4 steps personally for the best 25 years, and every excellent trainer I know uses some version of this. The 4 steps are teach one, show one, do one, and give feedback. And by the end of this video, I predict it'll be difficult for you to see training sessions through any other lens. If you miss even one of these steps on a training journey, like 90% of the sessions you've probably been to, then something important will be missing from the participant's experience. Think of this framework as the 4 main points in the body of a workshop. First is the teach one step. All great training sessions start by teaching the content directly. Some people call this the lecture portion. And I use the phrase teach one instead of just teach because most excellent trainings focus on just one skill at a time. This step focuses on teaching any necessary key concepts, important information, theory, and research. The teach one phase is all about providing your learners with the foundational vocabulary they need so that you're all on the same page. In most training sessions, this is the step of the experience that's driven by slides on a screen, a flip chart, or a whiteboard. To keep it simple and for illustration purposes only, let's use training someone how to use first aid to help a choking victim. Now, whoever created the typical choking first aid workshops really got the training process right. In the teach one phase, you'd teach them the 3 or so steps to follow. You'd show the steps on the slides and you'd explain with your words the order to follow and the basics of how to perform each step. Now, sadly, most non-first aid training sessions never go past providing this basic information. I know someone who recently went through a 3-hour live Zoom, quote, training session in a healthcare-related field. It was marketed as a training session, but the presenters never went beyond sharing information on slides. It was a 3-hour lecture. And if you want to run a great training session, doing just step 1 here is not going to cut it. Second is the show one step. Many trainings include this step, but not all. This is where the trainer demonstrates or shows exactly how to do whatever they're trying to teach you to do. If you're learning how to help a choking victim, for example, a good trainer would demonstrate how to do it right in front of you on an actual person or at least on a dummy. They might give you some tips about the common problems or mistakes and show you how to fix those issues. They would show you from multiple angles so you can get a really good look at them performing this skill up close and personal. If they can't show it live in the room with you for whatever reason, then they would show videos of somebody actually doing it. My wife is a mental health therapist. When she was in her graduate program, those classes showed her numerous videos of therapists working with clients who demonstrated the exact techniques they were learning in class. Sometimes the videos involved real people with their identities blurred out. Other times they were videos of role play scenarios with actors who made it realistic. So depending upon your training, the show one step could use illustrative examples, specific stories, important case studies, before and after photos. There are lots of ways to show or demonstrate the thing you're teaching in action. Just be sure to illustrate the skill in a way that participants can see, hear, and almost feel exactly how this skill should be done. The third step is do one. And this is a really important phase that the majority of training sessions don't include or barely include. This is where you get your participants to actually do or practice the thing that you're teaching them. And again, I'm saying do one because it's best if you have participants practice one skill at a time. In contrast, it's not very effective to teach and show 3 things in a row and expect them to be able to practice all 3 things at the same time. Ask them to practice one thing at a time. If we're teaching how to help a choking victim, this is where you have them work with a dummy and practice one specific technique that you just showed them, like leaning the dummy over and slapping the dummy on the back in the right spot with the right amount of force. If we were teaching a class for mental health therapists, this is where students would likely pair up and practice a therapy technique like asking probing questions that they just learned how to ask first through the teach one step and then the show one step. You'll often see good trainers make use of pairs, groups, or Zoom breakout rooms during the do one step. This helps people get more repetitions compared to asking just one or two people to practice in front of the group. A good do one activity would let every single person in the workshop practice and perhaps get multiple repetitions. If we're teaching people how to help a choking victim, you would have multiple dummies available so everyone can get hands-on practice. A good do one step could include worksheets, role plays, creating case study scenarios, tabletop exercises, or simply straightforward practice and repetition of the skill. The key is to look for the most realistic way possible that the skill could be practiced. When you're designing a training session, think to yourself, if there were no limitations, what would be the ideal way for my participants to practice this skill? And then design an activity that gets as close to that idea as possible. And the fourth step is to give feedback. This is critical and brings the whole training session together. If you have a large group, then minimally you want to call up some volunteers who seem to be catching on, and you have them come to the front of the room one at a time and demonstrate what they've been practicing in front of the group. Then you give that person feedback in front of everyone once they've accomplished the skill. This feedback should definitely involve at least 2 or 3 pieces of positive feedback for the volunteer, and then you want to give them at least one small tip for improvement that they can make. And when I give this feedback, I always make sure that the volunteer has a chance to perform the skill again and put my tip into practice so they finish on a successful repetition in front of everybody. When I do large training workshops, I want to get at least 3 volunteers to come and demonstrate in front of everybody one at a time. If you only ask 1 or 2 people, then you probably won't get to see all of the small typical improvements people can make. Giving a few volunteers feedback like this usually reinforces everybody's training. In a smaller training session, I would go around the room and give every single person feedback as I watch them do it. This is your opportunity as a leader to assess and make sure they're actually learning what you're teaching. And to be clear, this is not about the final debrief where you ask participants to pitch back to you their takeaways from the overall session. Save those takeaways for your conclusion or your overall wrap-up for the whole training. The feedback stage is where you provide each participant with the feedback on the skill that they're learning. Overall, to keep it simple, let's say this training session is an hour long. The best trainings I've ever been to spend the majority of the time on the last 2 steps, the do one and give feedback steps. I recommend you give participants plenty of time to practice, to get repetitions, so that you know without a doubt that they leave your training session knowing exactly how to do what you taught them. And the longer the training lasts, the more time you should spend on the last 2 steps, because lecturing is not really training. In the comments section, I would like you to tell me how you could use and likely adapt this 4-part framework to whatever content you might be responsible for training on. These principles are flexible, and how you execute them is up to you. As long as you're striving to do those last 2 steps and give your participants hands-on practice and feedback, any training session you do will be more worthwhile for your participants. Till next time, thanks, God bless, and I will see you soon.